Hello, 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 my friends. This is Nikki Tobias with Grounded Vision Coaching and Consulting, and I've been meaning to jump on here and share a little question that I've asked a few of my mentees and my coaching clients lately, and I thought I would share it with you. I don't know how I just came up with it, but it's applied to a couple people in a couple situations, so I figured it'd be most fun to share. And so the question is it instead or is it expand? And so here is where I would let you think some about that. So if we are generally instead people, we say, I need to do this or this, right? Things are pretty black and white. If I want to take this on, I have to get rid of something else in my life. My relationships are like this or they're like this, right? And like I said, it's very clear cut. I'm going to do this instead of this. Some of us, though, are expand people, and we have this sense that we're just going to somehow work it all in. We're going to do everything we're already doing and something else, and something else, and something else, and it's expand. But I think when we're running our own businesses or we're deciding whether or not we want to take on another responsibility or join a different organization or whatever that looks like, the question is, am I at a place where it's an instead or an expand? Meaning, if I want to take on this new leadership role, is that an expansion of what I'm doing and I can add it in and do everything still really well, and I'm expanding my brand, or I'm expanding my relationships, or I'm expanding my role within this organization? Or is it a situation where we have to say it's an instead? In order for me to show up fully everywhere and do all the things I want to do, if I want to add something, I have to get rid of something else. And here is my challenge to you. My challenge to you in this is, like I said, typically we are one or the other in general. That overarchingly we are instead people. If I'm going to add this, something else has to go. Or, it's going to be like this or it's going to be like this. Or we're expand people. How do we fit it all in all the time? And so what I challenge you to do is figure out which one is more like you in the ways that you interact in the world. And then the next time something comes up, to think about, does the way I normally do this, is that the best way? If I'm normally an expander, take on more and more and more and more, fit more and more things in. If I'm normally an expander, to really intentionally ask yourself, is there room to expand, or is this an instead moment? And I have to get rid of something else to have this. If we're normally instead people, to really stop ourselves and say, is this a moment where it makes sense to add something to my life and let something else go? Or am I going to do something different and I'm going to expand into it, right? So an example for me or other coaches might say they had a one-on-one coaching practice for a really long time, and now they're being asked to speak, to do some speaking engagements for a fee. And so they get to really decide, do I do the speaking in addition to the coaching, which would be an expansion, right? I'm expanding what I do, I'm expanding my brand. Or in order to take the speaking gig, would I have to eliminate some of the coaching clients that I have? And if I felt like that were the case, that in order to speak, I'd have to have fewer coaching clients, am I really willing to do that? In the expansion model, though, let's say I want to keep all the coaching clients I have and I want to start speaking. Then the question is, can I do it? Can I expand? Am I willing to work that many hours? Am I willing to work that hard? Am I willing to take on something else, right? So like I said, I would encourage you to assess if you are generally an instead person or an expand person. And then when the new thing comes up, or there's some room to figure out, I have some extra time, what do I want to do with it? Or I'm really just frazzled and involved in too much and something has to go, to really challenge yourself to look at it how you normally look at it, and then challenge yourself to look at it from the other perspective and really intentionally decide, I'm going to do this instead, or I'm going to expand. And like I said, for me, I gave the coaching example. Maybe in life, nobody in the world is going to say, get pregnant and say, I'm going to have this kid instead of another kid, right? That we call that we're expanding our family, right? We're expanding our family. I hopefully someday soon will expand my coaching practice by hiring staff, right? Those are expansions instead of insteads. But there are some times that we have to cut some things out, right? There are some times that we have to make some of those difficult decisions, and we have to let some things go in order to make room for the things that matter more to us than the things that we're going to let go. So hello everybody for jumping in. Jim, Fatzinger, Katie, Jennifer, good to see you all. There was a couple people in and out, I think, too. So I'd be really interested to hear from you. Do you tend to be an instead person? I'm not adding anything unless something else goes out. Or do you tend to be an expander? Add it all, add, till the plate is over full. And then is there any situation happening in your life right now where you get to figure that out differently? That you get to be more intentional about whether I'm going to instead it or whether it's ready to expand? You know, that example I gave you is a really serious one. I'm getting more and more invitations for speaking gigs, which I love, and that's so much fun. And so I had to really say to myself, can I fit that in? And for me at this point in my business and the time that I'm spending in my business, I can afford to expand. I think that's a really smart expansion. It's an intentional way to expand the brand and to do some things a little differently in the hopes of getting more of those people that attend those speaking gigs to be private clients, coaching clients of mine. But at some point, you know, God willing, the business is going to be going really, really well. And I have to decide, do I want to have fewer clients and more speaking gigs? Do I want to have fewer speaking gigs and more clients? Do I want to do more group coaching? You know, it's going to move from an expand model into an instead model. And I'm not going to have any choice about that, right? But I get to choose what I cut so that it makes room for something else. So Katie says, you're an expander. Yeah, you are. And I definitely did make some insteads. I'm overbooked. Lots of people feel that way, right? They get to the place of being overbooked and then they say, how did that happen? Because it felt like as we expanded, it was little by little by little. And then all of a sudden the plate is overflowing. And so, yeah, that's what ends up to happen. And I think then for those of us that are instead people, I think the reason we don't expand is out of fear. It's out of fear. What if I don't have enough time? What if I can't do it all well? You know, for me, I could say, well, I'm not going to expand into the speaking side of my work because people might not like me, or they might criticize what I say, or they don't enjoy hearing me speak. I could do all that, and I could keep myself from speaking. But that's my own limiting beliefs. That's my own stuff. Unless or until I get that proof. Right? That I try to do a speaking gig and no one comes, or they give me the feedback outright that it was not an enjoyable time or they didn't get anything from it. Until that happens, for me, it's worth it to put myself out there and to see if I can expand my brand in that way. So, you know, it's always worth thinking about. Even, you know, do we expand in the way of adding more friends? Or are there some insteads? We would like to add some people to our life, but that means cutting out some other folks or some other things in order to have those friendships. Here's the problem. We spend too much of our time reacting, right? Waiting until the plate is overflowing. Waiting until we're unfulfilled. You know, waiting for the thing to feel like it's on fire. Whereas if we made more of our decisions really intentionally and we thought through, if I do this, this is what happens. If I do this, this is what happens. And then we make the decision based on what we believe the outcome will be. Man, a lot of our lives would be a lot better, would be more in line, more aligned with what we want for our todays and our tomorrows. So thanks for weighing in, Katie. I love that. I always love chatting with you all. So again, tell me in the comments, are you an instead person or are you an expand person? And are there any situations coming up that you get to make that decision about, whether it's going to be an instead or an expand? And how can we help support you in making that decision? I'd love to hear. Okay, folks, I am heading to finish my presentation of speaking at a Rotary first thing tomorrow morning before dawn about the differences between coaching, consulting, and counseling. So I think it's going to be super fun. And so I'm going to go finish that up. And, you know, big day tomorrow and a speaking gig. So I'm super excited. All right, everybody, have a good evening. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.